Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I'd like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. I am your host, Jen. Welcome. Glad to have another visual episode for you today as well. So, there are a few stories that I did want to bring to your attention today. The first one is about Fanta Bility. And you may not be familiar with Fanta Bility. I know I did not hear a whole lot about this particular story last year when it first made the headlines. However, there was an update. And so I did want to share because I did find it significant. So Fanta Bility, she was an 8-year-old child from Delaware, and she was joining her family to go to a football game at Academy Park High School when when a police shooting occurred and she died as a result. So what happened is that there were three Sharon Hill police officers assigned to monitor the crowd leaving this particular football game that her family had attended. And while they were responding to a shooting less than a block away, they fired 25 shots into a Chevrolet Impala, again, less than a block away from the high school football game. And when they fired the 25 shots into the vehicle, some of the bullets flew past and struck four people. And 8-year-old Fanta Bility was one of the people impacted. And so, as a result of her death, and granted, it did take a year and several months of protests for the family and community activists seeking accountability for this incident. That the update is now that the officers have all pled guilty to reckless endangerment. Now, it's important to note that originally they were charged with manslaughter. However, the manslaughter charges were dropped, and they set up a plea deal and negotiated it with the district attorney to face 10 counts of reckless endangerment charges, carrying a maximum sentence of 2 years in prison. And so the officers would face up to 20 years each. The sentencing is set for January 12th. So, it's kind of unfortunate that they didn't face manslaughter charges that they deserve, or, one would think they would deserve for being responsible for her death. However, the family did agree with this plea as it would save them the experience of having to relive everything through the trial and that type of thing. So, very sad case, but the officers definitely need to be held accountable in this case. And those officers were Brian Delvaney, Sean Dolan, and Devin Smith. And this incident again occurred on August the 27th, 2021 in Delaware County at the Academy Park High School. 8-year-old Fanta Bilili was attending a football game and lost her life with the police, shooting into a vehicle less than a block away, which impacted the crowd, and she did lose her life as a result. So those officers have pled guilty, and the sentencing is coming up in January. So we'll share the update on that particular case. There's another story I did want to bring to your attention that you may have heard. It definitely picked up a lot of steam thanks to the concern viewers and people on social media making sure to give this story attention. And it's about Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella Robinson was the 25-year-old young woman who mysteriously was killed in Mexico while traveling with friends in Cabo, Mexico. Now, there has been an update with the case, but just to kind of give you a background, is that the seven friends traveled to Cabo, Mexico together, and less than 24 hours of them arriving, Shanquilla Robinson ended up dead under mysterious circumstances. And there are some discrepancies that apparently are being investigated, so we won't get too deep into that. But apparently, her cause of death on the death certificate says one thing, and then the story that the friends shared to her family, uh, resulted in something different, and it definitely appears to be foul play involved. And then the update as of November 3rd is more issued for one of the friends. So definitely glad to hear that an arrest warrant has been issued, as this incident occurred in October. October 28th is when the trip occurred. So it's literally been almost a month, and the family has, been seeking answers to this matter. In light of this story, I know some of the friends that um, I share have had conversations about, girls trips and things like that, and behaviors that are that happen during girls trip, disagreements and things like that. So I think this is a good time to have those conversations with people. A lot of people, definitely want to have a good time and compile the resources to take a girl trip, but you don't imagine anything like this happening. No disagreement is worth someone's life. And so, you know, definitely have those conversations and, find a resolution. This is definitely not the desired result, and definitely glad that continuous investigation has been occurring in this case, so that arrest and a trial can be had to give the family some closure. So there'll be additional updates in this story we will share with you guys. Also, well, I guess the last story that I will bring to your attention is concerning the an update in a story from a year ago in Wilmington, North Carolina. And so what happened here is that police officers in Wilmington, North Carolina were discovered making racially charged remarks on their police vehicle, and uh, the mechanism that records them was shared, and they were found out. And so um, this is about the what happened afterwards. And so a 2020 firing of one of the Wilmington police officers who made those racially charged remarks in the wake of the protests following the death of George Floyd is now being upheld. Or he did take actions to overturn his firing. And so I did want to share some of the comments that were made, because they're pretty shocking, that, were made in this incident. So this is Wilmington, North Carolina, and it's been almost 2 years since the recordings of three former Wilmington Police Department officers revealed racism in the police department. And so for 2 years, it's been kept confidential. And again, this was right after the murder of George Floyd, where Derek Chauvin was responsible for the death of George Floyd. And this sparked several protests across the country. And so, giving that perspective to the comments, and then the officers involved here were Kevin Piner, James Brian Gilmore, and Jesse Moore. So they all were captured by incident and discovered sort of by chance because the only reason the videos were recorded is due to a malfunctioning camera in Piner's car, which turned on by accident. So that because that happened, the superiors reviewed the recordings and then this kind of uncovered the whole matter, if you will. One of the comments was, and this is from the transcript, if you have a civil war, go ahead and wipe them off the effing map. And that'll put them back about 4 or 5 generations. The good ones can go and live in their little communities and they can do whatever the F they want to do. Just stay the F out of my way. But that's that one there about setting generations for 4 or 5 generations back. I thought that struck me as odd and concerning. This is more than just someone not liking a group of people because of the color of their skin. You actually want to set them back and kind of ruin the generation, if you will. So that's definitely egregious. And I'm glad that the department higher ups, took the action that it did because they could have just kept it private because the normal course of action is to keep these types of recordings private and confidential. However, there is a clause that if it's discovered to be, you know, it's basically a judgment call of the higher ups to share it and make it public. And so that is what happened in this case. They did make it public. And so, they were to uphold the firing of these 3 officers as they should have been, and they were. Um, obviously, one of the officers is trying to fight it and that type of thing. But this type of behavior is unacceptable, and we definitely need to call it out when it occurs. So, yeah, definitely want to share that story, which again happened in Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, there's some other updates that have happened recently, some mass shootings and things like that. We'll go ahead and put a pin in those that we'll share later with you, but definitely want to extend our condolences to people who lost their lives in the Colorado shooting and also the Virginia shooting at the Walmart. There also was a shooting a few weeks prior in St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm from, and definitely my heart is with the people impacted by that school shooting. So we'll share those on our year-end show. We'll be doing that shortly, of some of the very impactful stories of the year for 2022. This year has been very trying at the least. I'm ready for it to be over. And every time you turn on the news, it's just another reminder of like, let's start it. Let's start over. Let's start a new year. I'm ready for a new year. I know personally I'm ready for a new year, and I'll speak on that later or what have you. But yeah, definitely. I just feel horrible about these recent mass shootings. And earlier in the year, we talked about many and several that have happened. The Buffalo shooting, I could go on and on. That we had some guests on to speak with us on the show, and I appreciate the people who have participated and shared with me. And I, hope to bring additional content for you guys as we go along. But yeah, look forward the year end show, which will be coming soon. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for listening. Please remember to share and follow. And we appreciate it when you listen so much. Thank you again and take care. At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out, and also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms, and please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening, and take care.